baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious It has begun!
Calm down, Doctor. Now is not the time for fear.
I am to misbehave.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, the podcast where we talk the week's events in Geek for Friday night, March 18th, 2022. I'm your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drak. I hope everybody is having an awesome evening so far. It has been a long, rough week for me. I have no problem admitting that. And boy, lots of crap happened this week, didn't it? This is one of those times where I'm probably going to have to prioritize a little bit. I did move some things to the next week's podcast because it doesn't really make sense for me to go off about how little, how little of a Harry Potter fan I am. When I could honestly have Harry Potter fans talk about Hogwarts Legacy. It definitely would be helpful to do that, right? So we're going to move that over, but holy crap, the internet decided to just lose its collective shite for a lot of this week, and a lot of it was predictable. A lot of it wasn't. But we're going to go ahead and go into it tonight. And I know that I've been kind of advertising G4. We will get to G4, I promise, guys. But you know what? I do think that there's a story that demands our attention a little bit more than G4. So you guys will have to pardon my dust for a second, because I want to make sure that we give this its proper due. Give me a second here, because I want to make sure that I grab this proper. Yes, this would be the one. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and talk about our first story of the evening. Oh, it's so glorious, isn't it? So, Domina gets review bombed after encouraging players to not wear masks and avoid pornography. Mocks woke mob for attempting to cancel them. So this comes from our buddies over at Bounding Into Comics, and I'm very thankful that they brought this to my attention, because as I mentioned online this week, I was laughing my ass off at this story, and I hope you guys will too, because there is such stupidity in here. It is staggering. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. The developer of Domina has caused outrage for asking in the game's patch notes for players to not wear masks and to avoid pornography. Well, I mean, avoiding pornography is good, right? I would agree with the whole not wearing masks thing, because masks were pointless, and as we're finding out, even the press doesn't necessarily believe in the evils of the pandemic anymore. So, yeah. Let's keep going here. So, Domina is a game that has players command a gladiator school in an ancient Rome. Impressive fights and chariot races can raise the status of your family and earn you aid from not only politicians, but from the gods. What seems to have upset some, however, are the content of two recent patch notes for the game's beta builds, which players can opt into test before they are available in the public build. Okay, so on March 9th, so I want to say at least a week ago, maybe a little bit more than that. So the patch notes for version 1.3.18 beta included some blunt advice to stop wearing masks that became commonplace after numerous governments reacted to the spread of the COVID-19 virus. It was listed among the other bullet points as the 7th item. So let's actually here's the source for it. So let's actually go into some of the other items that were going into this, because, you know, it's patch notes, so it's not like major things are gonna probably be in here, right? Okay, so fixed. Administrator might not buy wine or water even when it's available in the market. Okay. New, Administrator is now available in regular game mode, not just endless. Okay. Nothing bad so far. Fixed, Charlatier stops whipping horse during second race. Okay. New, voxel model drawing resolution ×2. Optimize, gladiator render, draw routine, FPS++. Optimize, particle dust effects, rendering and drawing. Take off the fucking masks. Next time you're at a grocery store, try showing a woman your face. Be confident, unafraid of the lies. You might get a girlfriend. Women like confidence. Women don't like dudes who cover their faces in fear. What are you afraid of? Getting laid? Grow up. Okay. Balancing. Prestige maximum training, attack, defense, strength, HP, max attack, 3 to 5 max 3 to 5k max defense, 800 to 1k max HP, 5 to 6k. Fixed multiplayer rewards. So in between this guy decided to interject his opinion. And I laughed at this personally because, well, he's right. Masks have, in my opinion, masks have been more of a harm to society than a good, because they have caused an unnecessary level of paranoia. And so I like the fact that he kind of pointed that out. He went in his own direction with it, which I do actually think that there's some merit there, but he just decided to throw that in out of left field, okay? He's not the first to do this. I'm sure plenty of people have done something similar to this. I know that WoW would utilize their patch notes for various hijinks and even sometimes just a little bit of snarkiness. I know that some indie game developers have actually put their opinions into various things. So there's nothing, there's no law against putting your opinions into a patch note. There isn't. Because here's the bottom line. Anybody is allowed to either read the patch note or not read the patch note. Most of the time, for a lot of indie game devs, I'm guessing, and probably even for some other ones too, they don't really read it. And that's entirely fine. And holy crap, I just barely realized that this is broken again. Sorry, let me go ahead and fix that. So you guys actually know who you're talking to. And hello to Axel Gaming, and welcome to our live chat. We're very happy to have you. So, people can do that. So, okay, there you go. He did that. No one is, and I'll get into this in a little bit, but let's just emphasize this. No one's forcing you to read the chat, or to read the patch notes. Nobody does. In fact, most gamers don't. It's fine. It's a little thing that programmers can read if they want to min-max. It's a little thing that if you're dedicated to it, you might read. I mean, I've read dozens of patch notes in my gaming life, especially in my 20s, and a lot of it, I skim over a lot of it. Like the stuff that's relevant to me, and then I leave the rest alone. For example, like when I would play World of Warcraft, I would read the patch notes specifically relevant to my class and to my spec. And I'd leave it at that. And there's no issues with that. I'm not losing out because I didn't read the Death Knight patch notes. That's just the way you do it. So let's continue on, and I'll get to my point here. It would seem the developers' older patch notes were re-examined after this one because people were offended by the aforementioned patch notes, leading to the discovery of the 1.2.89 beta. Oh God. Okay. Granted, this guy tempted the internet, and he did, but right now, it hasn't really gone against him, now has it? It's ridiculous. The developer included a note on how unarmed men will sometimes fight instead of just running around looking for weapons, leading to a statement about men being weak of character and succumbing to pornography. Alright, so here are the beta notes. So balancing, prestige, stamina, training, scaling nerfed. Fixed anachronistic medicus training procedures. New, unarmed men will sometimes fight instead of just running around and looking for weapons. Let's see. And then Charlatier's whip now has a higher disarm chance if you whip a gladiator in battle, but it doesn't have the other one. I have a feeling that this image is cut off, and I kind of wish it wasn't. But some men still won't fight. They're weak. There's no accounting for weak men, Dolphin Barn Incorporated stated, which is the developer. Weak men lack character. Strong moral fiber is hard to come by. It is, actually. It's earned through hard work and sacrifice, and it cannot be had via OnlyFans or Pornhub. I'm not seeing a problem, Internet. He's right. He's right. Because, unfortunately, if you're just going to sit there and be a thirsty bitch, like most people on OnlyFans and Pornhub are, because this is all they think about all day, like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you can take your head out of your ass for just a few, or out of your pants, rather, then you'll be just fine. Oh, hello. Oh. Did she get it? No. No, she did not. Sorry. We have a sick kid. Again, so. That's the way that goes. So, no, those effing things are demonic possessions. Sick, the developer warned. Waiting to show you a succubus titty in the hopes you'll waste a load on her instead of spending that energy studying how to weld or grow a potato or learning a new language or how to program a computer. He's not wrong. Again, this is one of those times where, yes, a lot of time is wasted in these things. I remember politicians constantly harassing MMOs and video games in particular for being this kind of an evil because people spent more time in them than going out and doing what he's saying. I would instead add on to that by also adding going to college. But that's just me. Listen, kids, get off them porn tubes. I need to read this as a dad, alright? This is great. Listen, kids, get off them porn tubes and do something with your life. The developer advises, because no one is gonna give you a goddamn thing, and this whole mess we call civilization is only getting harder. We need solutions, and we need smart men and women in some cases. Well, at least smarter women that don't go on OnlyFans to expose themselves. Let's see, we need smart men who can work hard and implement those solutions. Masturbating to e-girls isn't going to solve the energy crisis. Get to work. Or, isn't going to solve the energy crisis now, is it? Tell me where he's wrong, Internet. Tell me where he's wrong. You just don't like that he put out his opinion there. So, right now, what I'm getting out of this is that you don't like that he rocked the boat. Well, as a chronic boat rocker, I don't have a problem. Because sometimes we have to acknowledge that we have bad habits or we have particular vices that prevent us from being able to do that. I've had to do that numerous times in my life. And this is actually where all of that was. So, thank you. I was wondering where it was. So, or play video games and have a relax and then get to work. Fresh tomorrow, the developer continued. I cannot possibly know what's best for you in your individual situation. And I like the fact that he added that, because each situation is different. See, I can play, there are points where I could play World of Warcraft and I could pull myself out of it and I could be able to go about my day. But I knew people that couldn't. I knew people that had major problems with it. I will actually dare tell you, when I first got into World of Warcraft, I was recovering from my last knee surgery. And so at that point, it was really hard to pull myself out of it because, like, I couldn't do anything. And I was sick and tired of feeling sorry for myself that I couldn't do anything. So I absorbed myself into the game. And that was not a good thing. And I acknowledged that and I moved on and I went off and did something with my life as soon as I was recovered. I don't see the problem here, people. Really, don't let strangers on the internet tell you how to live your life. If you want to be told how to live your life, read the New Testament. The internet will only give you lies. Again, not really disagreeing here. I mean, read the New Testament, read a self-help book. I could make a couple of other suggestions, but he's not wrong. The internet can give you truth, but it does a lot of the time give you lies. And so at that point, that's why in a lot of cases it's wiser to trudge through the lies to be able to get through the truth. And some people have issues with doing that. So since March 9th, there has been a dramatic increase in negative reviews for Domino, because this guy had the audacity, the unmitigated gall, to put his opinions out there in patch notes that no one was forced to read, and especially didn't have to read those sections. If they were going to piss you off, then why did you read them? But instead, as I've actually seen some of this firsthand, they freaked out, and I'm thoroughly convinced they read all of those statements at least 10 times. All of which re-victimizing themselves or becoming re-offended each time they read it. Because how dare this person put out these opinions? How dare he tell you that you are not a soft flower and that you should be nurtured? I mean, how dare he, right? So, Steam has noted the 1,040 recent reviews out of 7,977 are mostly negative. Only 244 of those recent reviews recommended the game, though some recent reviews praised the developer's frank attitude. And yes, they did. And it was actually really good. And we're going to, I think we got a few of these here too. How to ruin a game in 2 easy steps, Ali stated. 1. Add microtransactions years into release. 2. Add a weird rant about masks into your patch notes. Avoid this dev. There are no so at that point, Dolphin Barn responded back going, there are no microtransactions in Domina. Okay? So here is the one that the offending bad review that is inaccurate. I have seen some screenshots of the game. There are no microtransactions in it from what I could tell. But hey, I also have a copy of the game now, so we'll go a little bit more in depth later on that. So anti-masker devs use their patch notes as glorified Twitter feed. It's their game. They can do whatever they want. Literally, they can do whatever they want. They can put in their patch notes, and I've seen people do this with Steam, and Steam never complains. A, return. B, return. C, return. D, return. They can do whatever they want. I've even seen dumb patch notes that said testing. That's it. That's all that was ever said there. You don't have to read that. You don't have to acknowledge it. But in this case, these people did. However, they also receive praise. Developer is so this is from Anarch. Developer is magnificent. Domina is alright too. Don't force your confident, unafraid gladiators to wear masks. Their girlfriends prefer them that way. Wow. Okay, so it wasn't everybody. Like, this has been the narrative, is that it's everybody that is all offended by this game, and all 7,900 reviews are all bad. Oh, wait, recommended. Oops. So Domino will respond to their critics on Twitter as well. Specifically, they mocked those criticizing them for their patch notes. They wrote, Dev suggests courage. Domino continued, Woke Bob, no, courage is bad, actually. And there's no such thing as cancel culture also. Really? Would you like me to call it consequence culture? Like the Star Trek actors did? And they did so well after that happened, huh? Yeah, that was a really great thing for them. So much so that George Takei has gotten nothing but hate over his recent statements about the gas prices right now. Yeah, they're beloved, let me tell you. This was accompanied with screenshots of the game's Steam review score showing that 98% of the 66 user reviews in the last 30 days are positive. So, is this the one? Yep, very positive. So, let's see, Dominic continued, let's see, this was juxtaposed with the most recent screenshot indicating the game was being review bombed as recent reviews were overwhelmingly negative. Oh, look, we kind of have this right here. Domino would also respond to Twitter user Shujoka stating, I am refunding your game today. Just came here to tell you, which, okay, can I just say, just in your first sentence, you have screamed nothing but, pay attention to me! Why aren't you paying attention to me? You know what women like most? Dudes who are respectful and take care of others, especially vulnerable people. Not really. Not really. You and I have had a very different experience, Sure Joka. I have no problem telling you that. Because I've seen nothing but women who get stomped on regularly by jack-offs, and yet they still stay with him. They're that chick on Cops that basically, while their husband is getting pulled away, they're like, don't take him away, I love him. Yeah, that's not what I've seen at all. And what's even funnier is that it's even more skewed in gay relationships, because those fights are ridiculous. So telling people to take off their masks during a pandemic, which even the media is acknowledging there isn't a pandemic anymore, oops, in your effing patch notes is disgusting. F off. See, all of this was just, pay attention to me so I can yell at you. I need to poop really bad. That's all it was. That's all it was. Domina responded 16 hours ago. Let's actually do this because I like it. 16 hours ago, you sad tweeted this. 16 hours ago, I was balls deep inside of my girlfriend. Good women expect and demand confident unmasked men who can still pay for things. Yeah, funniest thing about women, they tend, because it's a biological concept, they tend to want security. They tend to want consistency. They tend to want a commitment to be able to protect them, especially if they have kids, because they will protect the kids, and so they really want you to be able to protect them. It's a biology thing. I know you won't understand, because science is not a real thing to you. Science is a religion. Dare I say, a cult. Fact. Seethe or learn. And I really wish we could make a hashtag out of that, but I love what he did there in response. So Domina also responded to the Twitch. To Twitch streamer Elohim, who wrote, how did a game I love so much just absolutely implode in less than 24 hours? Did it really? Did it really? I used to see Domina and feel nothing but praise and admiration. Now when I see Domina, I'll always think of this. Is this guy seething or learning? Yeah, I absolutely seething. Seething, because, again, dear Twitch streamer, you're probably more popular than me, and that's totally fine because I don't give a fuck. And I'm going to go ahead and say what I want to say, even though I don't have your numbers, and I don't have your audience, and I don't have all that stuff. Sometimes, when you put politics ahead of the game itself, and when you find out that maybe, just maybe, the game developer that you like, who has made the game you like, doesn't necessarily agree with you politically, that can tend to hurt when you prioritize it that way. It can. That's why I don't do it anymore, people. I used to do it too. I will openly admit that. I used to do it too. With game devs, with podcast hosts, with numerous others. I don't do it anymore, because the bottom line is that I'm more interested about the content that you are providing instead of your political viewpoints, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, you vote in the voting booth how you want. And if it's a stupid move, it's a stupid move, and I'll call you stupid for it. If I make the stupid move, I expect you to call me stupid for it. When I actually do make a stupid move, but right now, in the last couple of elections, I've made good moves. Because, F Joe Biden. So there you go. Let's see. The official Domina Twitter account also addressed reviews accusing them of pulling content to turn into DLC. They wrote, "We've replied to a number of these false negative reviews in the past. Valve has done nothing. They are easily proven false." So if Steam did nothing, they just don't like you, right? That's what happened? They just don't like you. Domina added, if DLC was removed, somebody could point to the specific DLC and say, here, this is the one. Yet these lies proliferate. And we're to blame? So in other words, nothing's there. Steam obviously hasn't seen anything bad. Oh, wait, let me guess. The game developer for Domina paid them off, right? Yeah, the little indie game dev who probably worked their butts off to make ends meet to work in their basement on this game or office or wherever it was. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. I'm sure that's what happened, right? It wasn't that Steam launched an investigation, found nothing, and then eventually just said, "Oh, yeah, this is just Twitter. This is just Twitter exploding for no reason." Yeah, there you go. What's this one? Let's see. So this is a not recommended. I bought this game, returned to it later on to see some content I had access to was removed, and now is being sold as DLC. I really do not appreciate being nickel and dimed when I was a... I would love to go into the Steam, because this is what I'd love to do with a lot of these guys. I would love to be able to go into their Steam records and just see if they have a chronic history of writing bad reviews for people like this and writing good reviews for those who are woke. I really would. I would love to be able to know, because I can guarantee you it exists. That's definitely what happened. So what do you make of Dominus patch notes? What about their response to the critics? So, I've had an interesting week, and one that's been actually kind of fun, while following this story. Because, like I said, I laughed my butt off when I read this story, because, of course, everything in this happened. They accused him of, they accused the dev of doing 2 to 3 things that were considered bad, and there was no evidence of it. And so I put that out there, and I even said, I would love to be able to see, I looked at the concept of Domina and said, that there probably isn't too much there that I'm interested in, but I at least like to be able to see if any of this is true. And I actually was able to speak with the developer for a little bit. I was actually able to get some game codes for Domina, to which I'm very happy to announce that we will figure out a way to be able to give out those codes on the channel, because I have no problem giving this guy the support. He's been dealing with a bunch of bullshit that didn't necessarily need to happen, and frankly, a lot of it is unfounded, after dealing with some of it myself. So, at that point, I have also reached out. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it work this week, because this week has just been insane for me. We're making a lot of big changes, including some insurance changes for my kids. So I did tell him that I was going to talk about this tonight, and I didn't have any problems talking about it, honestly. And I also said that I would love to be able to bring him on and be able to discuss this further, let him show his evidence, because frankly, I'm more interested in hearing his side of the story than I am the other, because the other has been equally disproven. So at that point, my thoughts on this are, again, I said it on Twitter and I'll say it here. You don't have to read the patch notes. And in fact, I would love for you to be able to tell me where the secret lair of this person is that he forced you into a chair and Clockwork Orange style hooked your eyes open to make you read his patch notes. First of all, I think that would be fucking hilarious. No problem admitting that, because seeing somebody take off your effing mask, oh god! It's a suggestion. You don't even have to do it. You could sit there and this is what I do to a lot of people who are like, well, masks are required. Here's my literal reaction. Asshole. And then I walk off. So at that point, you don't have to read his patch notes. In this case, these were people that got offended very easily, went back and read that thing 10 plus times, and re-offended themselves consistently, and then decided to have a grudge war, or basically hold a grudge against this guy, and try to get him canceled. And yes, that exists! Twitter, you exist to cancel. That's pretty much all your cesspool has ever been able to do. Cancel culture doesn't exist! Bullshit! Bullshit! Prove to me it doesn't. That's my bottom line there. So at that point, I have no problem, because Twitter has shown me just so much how much I should support this guy, and therefore I'm going to go ahead and do it. But my thoughts are, you don't have to be offended by the patch notes. You don't even have to read them. I guarantee you that unless you're like a hardcore Minecraft player, or a hardcore Diablo player, or a hardcore Star Wars The Old Republic player, or a hardcore God of War fan, you are probably not reading those patch notes. Or you're skimming them. You're skimming them to see if maybe your favorite weapon got worked on. kind of thing. That's how they're a wonderful tool for game developers. For gamers, they aren't utilized that much. In fact, there are websites completely dedicated to having to avoid reading the patch notes because somebody else did it for you. So, grow the fuck up, Twitter. My final thoughts on that. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the next, our top story that I actually did advertise tonight. And I have no excuse for why I did that. After Frosk accuses viewers of objectifying women, G4 hosts Amaranth for Bikini Ball Pit segment. I'm just going to go back up here. I'm going to say something that's really offensive to a lot of people. I just don't find Amaranth attractive. I mean, maybe she's got some stuff going on top-wise, but to me, she's actually got a little bit of a small butt, in my honest opinion, and she tends to do what Masami Obari used to do with his women in his anime, which is give herself the biggest fucking wedgie she could ever I just don't get why people are interested in her. And frankly, I can't find her attractive because every time I look at her, I see the horse head on her head and immediately go, Besides, would that bikini even be worn? Like, that looks like it's made of, I don't know what the fabric is, but I don't think that would last well in a pool. So, in one of the most blatant 180s on a virtue signal in recent years, just a little under 2 months after promoting X-Play host Indiana Frosk Black's on-air rant against sexism in gaming. Because I love... Dude, if I could, I would get Chrissy Mare's impression of Frosk, and I would use it every single day of the week. Because that was so great. In which she accused audiences of disliking her because they did not find her as nice on the eyes as previous network personalities. G4 has hosted notorious borderline and not safe for work Twitch streamer Caitlin Amaranth Siragusa. I didn't even actually know her name. And yeah, she's been there. I've never seen her on there, but yeah, she has been, for a segment centered around her sex appeal. So Amaranth's sexualized G4 guest appearance took place on March 11th, occurring as part of that day's episode of Name Your Price, a game show hosted by Twitch personalities Austin Show and Will Neff, wherein players attempted to guess the retail prices of various items a la The Price is Right. That's exactly what they were trying to imitate. So hosting popular VTubers, so these are VTubers, by the way, for those who don't actually know. This is what I mean, dude. She just, like, fucking gives herself a wedgie. So these are the VTubers. I'm not even going to try and say their names right. So Vebe, Iron Mouse, Neanders, and Snuffy participating as contestants, Austin and Neff began the game by asking the four to guess the price of an inflatable pool filled with plastic balls. Much to the surprise of the panel, as soon as the makeshift ball pit was wheeled out, Amaranth, in a play on her reputation as a Twitch hot tub streamer, then emerged from underneath, clad only in a pink bikini, one that I don't think you could wear in a swimming pool. I don't know. I need to double check with Andrea on this. I don't think that's actual swim material, but okay. So, following Vey's win of the first round, Amaranth would change into a silver dress and join Austin and Neff as the episode's guest showcase girl, proceeding to suggestively interact with the day's handful of similarly provocative items, such as a shake weight. Oh god. I have not been able to look at those things the same since the South Park episode. But, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they put a shake weight in her hands. Was Sessler just on vacation? Where the fuck was Sessler? If he was so on board with what Frosk was saying, why is Amaranth there? Why is she in a bikini? Why is she holding a shake weight? It's almost like they went back to their old ways because Sessler lost. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why you should not support Adam Sessler. So, a bottle of 1970s cologne, which I have been told she licked. Oh god. And uncooked hot dogs used in demonstration of a specialized... Oh god. Of course they dug out the hot dogs again. Yo! Oh! Okay, so, Further, a running gag throughout the episode featured regular series presenter Justa Minx expressing anger and jealousy at her misconception that she was being permanently replaced in her role by Amaranth. Oops. I'm guessing that's her, the purple hair. Well, hey, Amaranth brings in the cash. You don't. So be pissed all you want, but you had your chance, is all I'm saying. So let's see. The bit eventually culminates with Justa Minx changing into a more revealing dress and forcing her way on stage in an attempt to actively compete with Amaranth for the job. And looking even shittier, might I add. So, that's my opinion. As a guy, I'm allowed to make an opinion. As noted above, this segment comes shortly after G4 promoted Frost's rant, wherein she accused the network's audience of disliking her because they could not objectify her as a must-watch moment. Not only that, actually, no, I think this article actually goes into it. So, broaching the topic during a January episode of X-Play, Black began her now infamous speech by asserting to viewers, in joining G4, I was ecstatic to be part of something I grew up watching as a child. I do not believe you in the slightest. But every time G4 is brought up in various channels, even in this YouTube channel, we have the chat in front of us. I can see you. Without a doubt, there will be backlash because I am not as bangable as a previous host. Well, you're not. And, well, frankly, we've seen your ass. Ew. It has somehow been expected that you can talk about how much you jerked off to women as a compliment. It's not a compliment. It's dehumanizing and it's weird. You don't have to do it. I don't do it. Also, I love the two simps here, and I will continue to call Gerard Dragon Rider Khalil Gerard Simp Rider Khalil a simp to the last of my days, because how many people does he have subscribed that he just basically shoved his cock down their ass, or up their ass, and gave them the middle finger and said, take it. In this statement, just indulging her rant. How many of them did he screw over with that? Yeah, he cares about you, let me tell you. Women do not exist to be nice on the eyes for you. Yes, they do. Morgan Webb, Olivia Munn did not exist to be nice on the eyes for you. Yes, they do. I'm sorry that you aren't, but I mean, the opposite can be said of people like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He looks good. He exists to be good on the eyes for women. Sometimes that is an existence thing. Maybe they can do other things too. Get the fuck over yourself, Frosk. Black then declared, and that's just obvious sexism. No, it's not. You don't need to explicitly objectify women or declare that you hate women to be sexist. Well, let me reread that. That's just your obvious sexism. Well, fuck off. You don't need to explicitly objectify women or declare that you hate women to... That makes no fucking sense, Frosk! Good fucking lord! You don't make sense! Get the fuck off the stage! Hinting that the reason for her frustration was various criticisms made in disagreement to her reviews, Black explained. Here at X-Play, which is now G4 TV, we'll get there, our reviews are written and produced by a team of people, which we will gladly become parasites and rip off their work endlessly. So when we use language like, fuck off, I'm not even reading the rest of this stuff because we already know it. And I've already ranted about it. It's so stupid. So, let's see. Drawing her thoughts to include when you're in your... Yeah, whatever. Let's see. So maybe for 2022, we be a bit nicer, a bit more self-reflective, and we enjoy the fact that people are working hard to make free content for you. She concluded, if you don't like it, whatever. So, not only has this happened, I tried to get every piece of information for you guys, but ultimately, here's what's happened since this major hypocrisy. They swapped, because the algorithm is just apparently destroyed for G4 TV because of Frosk. Nice work, Frosk. They actually swapped the channel names and swapped the videos to maybe see if they can resurrect this brand somehow, or at least be able to salvage it. It's not working. And on top of that, their streams have gone through the floor. I think when this had happened, they maybe had 1,000 or so live viewers in their streams. They don't even get that anymore. nobody's watching their videos, and it's a slow decline. And not only that, but we just barely found out today, and I tried to get a story for it, the VP that agreed with Frost and defended Frost has been fired. For what reason? Not sure yet. I'm sure that we're going to get some information later next week, and we'll probably bring it up on that podcast. But he's been fired, and I've been hearing rumors and whisperings that Frost and the other chick, I don't think it's the one that was contending with Amaranth this time around, but one of the women that helped write that is also fired. Because they also went out and very clearly complained about the changes, and very clearly complained about Amaranth being on, which I just found glorious the entire time, because of course G4 would have to go back to what people know it as in order to survive, and of course Frost wasn't gonna like that. So my final thoughts on this one are good riddance to bad fucking rubbish. I screamed to people for a long time when we started hearing the rumors of a G4 revival that it was never going to be G4. That in this day and age, G4 cannot be done. And I have since been proven right. Man, it sucks being proven right all the time. Let me tell you, it's a hard cross to bear, but I bear it. So goodbye, G4. I didn't really miss you when you left. In fact, I've actually attached to some of the better writers that you had that aren't part of this monstrosity, like Chris Gore. So at that point, I have no problem saying goodbye to this. And also, for all the people who are wanting an opinion on Sessler, look, I've got to be honest here. Sessler is going to come back somehow. He's got enough clout, I think, that he can come back. Will he come back with more G4? Probably not. Is he going to come back to another network? Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Keeley brings him on to the Game Awards or something like that. And he doesn't deserve to be there. But one thing I would like to strongly encourage the internet to do is, now that you've seen Sessler for who he is, don't support him anymore. Don't give him any of that. He doesn't deserve the support that you gave him over the years when G4 was popular. He doesn't deserve that, and he certainly doesn't deserve this. Because this was all waiting in the wings. This guy wants to see Republicans die in a fire while he is, quote, sipping something bubbly. I could tolerate a lot of shit, but that's just disgusting. So I have no problem saying, fuck you, Adam Sessler, and I hope you never get a creative job ever again. That being said, let's go ahead and move on into the next story that we have. So this one is also, once again, from Bounding Into Comics. Oh, I'm starting to like the writers over at Bounding Into Comics than a lot of the other websites out there, but we do have other stuff too. So DC Comics writer Andrew Wheeler claims Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling is playing with my personal safety for rhetorical clout. Okay, so DC Comics writer and former editor-in-chief of Comics Alliance, Andrew Wheeler, known for pitching Justice League Queer, recently claimed that Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling is playing with my personal safety for rhetorical clout. Prove it! I'm done with you just saying what you want to say. Fucking prove it. Give me receipts, or I'm literally going to look at you like most people on Twitter do and say, you're full of shit. That being said, while the editor-in-chief at Comics Alliance, Wheeler made it clear his goals were to radically alter the comic book world. And it's working so well, isn't it, Andrew? He wrote, we need to get from some to enough, and really we'll know we've achieved success when Captain America can have a boyfriend. He doesn't need to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. He's Captain fucking America. And Wonder Woman can have a girlfriend. Fuck you. For queer representation in superhero comics, that's what success looks like. You literally just cannot have a heterosexual relationship exist more than 10 feet away from you, can you? It just can't happen. You need to have what you want right here, right. You're a child, Andrew Wheeler. I have no problem saying this, because easily, if you wanted to be able to have that queer representation, you could create it. you could create those characters instead of making Captain America that. Hell, didn't you just do this? Oh, wait, that failed. Okay, well, moving on. Wheeler's claims regarding Rowling came after he accused her of empowering far-right forces. Where? Where did he do this? I'm guaranteeing you he didn't do this. Sorry, I've got kids ranting, so I probably went too loud. Sorry about that. On March 12th, Rowling took to Twitter where she wrote, "I don't think our politicians have the slightest idea of how much anger is building among women from all walks of life at the attempts to threaten and intimidate them out of speaking publicly about their own rights, their own bodies, and their own lives." What's wrong about that? That's accurate. Feminists are for women unless they disagree with them. That's basically what she's saying. Is if you do not agree with feminism, we are going to silence you. I don't think anybody's disagreeing. In a subsequent tweet, she added, "Among the thousands of letters and emails I've received are disillusioned members of Labor, the Greens, the Lib Dems, and the SNP. Women are scared, outraged, and angry at the deaf ear turned to their well-founded concerns, but women are organizing." Okay, well, that's the way it goes, and there's the tweet. And again, this is the same J.K. Rowling that created Harry Potter and that is getting canceled, or they tried to cancel her numerous times, for thinking that trans men, men becoming women, should not compete in women's sports. An opinion that Joe Rogan holds. An opinion that Tom Segura holds. An opinion that I hold. It's not even fair. There's a very clear difference. I can definitely tell you that Trey Parker and Matt Stone don't agree, or that they agree, because they had Macho Man Randy Savage go up against Strong Woman. Well, not Macho Man Randy Savage. Rest in peace, Macho Man, but it pretty much looking like that. She concluded the short thread writing, "Now Keir Starmer publicly misrepresents equalities laws in yet another indication that the Labour Party can no longer be counted on to defend women's rights. But I repeat, women are organizing across party lines, and their resolve and their anger are growing." And she's right. Like, there are a lot of women out there who are not being represented, and they're growing, and they're getting more pissed, and they're winning, more importantly. And some of them, by the way, are moms! I literally heard somebody make this argument that if you're a mom, you can't be a feminist. Fuck? What world do you live in? In response to this thread, a Twitter user by the name of Johnny Worst wrote, "Thank you for speaking up so powerfully. It is a tragedy and a scandal that our gay rights organizations are now dedicated to undermining both women's rights and the very foundation of same-sex attraction." Okay, I tend to agree with that. Rowling responded to the tweet writing, "Innumerable gay people have been in touch with me to say exactly this. Like women, they, especially lesbians, are under attack for not wishing to be redefined and for refusing to use ideological language they find offensive." Again, I'm not seeing a problem. And also, I'm not seeing the rhetorical clout that is threatening your personal life, Andrew Wheeler. Does it not exist? Are you crying wolf? I think you are. Wheeler would respond to this tweet from Rowling accusing her of empowering far-right forces. Trust me, she ain't right. She ain't right. He wrote, "You are empowering far-right forces that endanger all women and queer people with misleading and hateful rhetoric. It is too late for you to walk back from the dark path you found yourself on. Please listen to the people who are asking you to lead with love." She is. And they're telling you to shut the fuck up. Wheeler would add, "I won't see your responses to this, folks, so why not spend the time you might have used crafting a scathing put-down to instead reflect on how the authoritarian left, actually, manufactures culture wars." Okay, yeah, whatever. Rowling would respond to Wheeler's initial response using a standard meme format of presenting different groups' opinion on a topic. She wrote, "Far right to little boy wearing a dress. Take that off. It means you're not a real man. Gender identity theorists. Wanting to wear dresses means you're really a girl. Radical feminists. Boys can wear dresses. You look great. Rowling then questioned, which of these two positions are most alike, Andrew? All right. Yeah, so these are the comparisons. Take that off. It means you're not a real man. So wanting to wear dresses means you're really a girl. Yeah, there's no similarity here, guys. There's not. I love the fact how he's portraying this. It's just bullshit. It's this tweet that Wheeler claims that Rowling is playing with my personal safety for rhetorical clout. Where? Where, Andrew? Where? This is just as stupid as if I don't call somebody by their proper pronouns, I am inflicting murder upon them. I have assaulted them. I have attempted to kill them. I have attempted to commit a hate crime, except I haven't. He would write on Twitter, I would prepare to give R the benefit of the doubt, to believe that she cannot conceive of the scale of abuse she invites into people's lives, but this is extraordinary. You're extraordinary. Honestly, you really are, my friend. And one of the reasons that I'm bringing this up, because this is what J.K. Rowling deals with on a regular effing basis. And I love the fact that they claim to love her. They claim to love the universe that she created, but they actively want to get her out so that they can then recreate it in their image. To which I say, kiss the ring, motherfucker. I'm not kidding. I actually think that if Fantastic Beasts 3 goes any further south than what 2 did, you're going to have a lot of major problems, especially since we all know she ain't working on them anymore. And on top of that everybody who wants to write for the Harry Potter universe don't really have the Harry Potter universe in mind. Shall I point out that even though Hogwarts Legacy got a big reveal event this week, they accused a YouTuber who was working on it of having bad thoughts some 10 plus years ago. Because people can't change in 10 years, right? That is not possible to have happen whatsoever. And I can guarantee you that Andrew Wheeler, when you go broke from all of this, and you will, we've already heard about DC Comics suffering majorly from these dramatic directions that they shouldn't have gone in. You've lost your offices, you've lost your publishers, you've lost a lot of things. And it's because of dipshits like Andrew Wheeler that you've lost them. So at that point, DC, reflect on that and reflect on how in about a couple of years from now, he is literally going to change face because he doesn't believe anything that he's saying. He will follow the political narrative, whatever it might be. So collectively, F you, Andrew Wheeler. You just are pissed that you don't have her cauldron of money. That's really all you're pissed about. I love, again, putting my personal safety at risk for rhetorical clout and cannot prove a goddamn thing. Cannot prove a goddamn thing. Mother effer. Stop hiring these people. They are driving me crazy. They are driving your fans crazy. Your fans want to support you. But they're not right now because you keep on making bad decisions, DC. I've got a great idea. How about you apologize to the fans that you scorned, and then you start making good decisions? I know. Revolutionary thinking, I know. But I guess I'll get over it in time. So, yeah, I didn't finish that story. I have no intention of doing it because Andrew Wheeler's a pissant. And that's just the way that it goes sometimes. So let's go ahead and move on into the next story that we have. Halo showrunner Stephen Kane says writing team didn't look at or talk about the game. So this is the guy who is writing the Halo TV show for Paramount Plus. Didn't talk about or look at the games. We talked about the characters and the world. They're in the game! Okay. I know that a few of you are going to point out this simple concept that I already know. Halo is based on I believe it's a series of books called Discworld. I believe that's the title of it. I get that. And maybe that's what he's referencing. But here's the thing. You aren't calling it Discworld. You are calling it Halo! As in the video game. That you want its audience to come and watch your shit. Maybe you should have played the game a little bit. I'm just saying. The red flags continue to fly for Paramount Plus' upcoming Halo series, as is in a recent interview, showrunner Stephen Kane has revealed that despite penning over 265 drafts of the live-action adaptation, he and the writing team did not look at or talk about the original games in any capacity. That's not a red flag, that's a crimson one. Really is. Kane revealed the Halo writers' room proud ignorance of Master Chief's original video game outings during a recent interview with Variety given alongside various members of the production team in promotion of the series' upcoming premiere. Speaking with the trade outlet, he asserted, "We didn't look at the game. We didn't talk about the game. We talked about the characters and the world, so I never felt limited by it being a game." Again, why'd you call it Halo? Turning to the topic of the Master Chief himself, the showrunner asserted, "He's everybody, right? He's you, he's me, he's actually a person! He has been conveyed to be a person, whether it be a man, a woman, a cyborg, whatever. He is actually in the games. This is not... What you're doing is you're saying he's a COD created character. I'm sorry, I'm not a Halo fan. Even I disagree with that, because he's been conveyed. That's like saying the captain in the COD series that keeps surviving, I don't know how, that he is you. But you see him every game. He's a 6-year-old girl. No, he's not. He's a 15-year-old person in a different country. No, he's not. Whoever plays the game is him. No, fuck you. That's not how that works. The Master Chief is a character within the universe. We're going to tell a story about a man discovering his own humanity. Actually, from what I've heard, you're going to talk about a woman discovering humanity, and probably the evils of it. He explained in so doing, he's invited the audience to discover that guy's humanity too. Well, I can already tell you, just given the 2 paragraphs that I've read, hell no. Recalling that he wrote upwards of 265 drafts. Oh, God. First 9 episodes, and there's only 9, Kane shared his excitement and a chance to put his own stamp on the Bungie-created universe. There are characters that are mentioned once in a book and that I was able to give a whole backstory to. I'm pretty sure that backstory is going to be shit, but okay. And other characters that were already well written that I just had to drop in. Yeah, I'm sure you did. I have to give credit to Microsoft. You can pitch them something brand new, and unless it's really complicated, it really complicated them in terms of the canon or the values of the show, they embraced it. Did you catch Uncle Phil drunk? I'm pretty sure you caught Uncle Phil drunk. That's usually how that goes, right? You caught Uncle Phil drunk, and you basically said, well, we're going to do this. Is Master Chief going to be in it? Well, no, not really. Go ahead. That's what happened. Come on. Paramount Plus, you continue to make bad decisions left and right, whether it be Star Trek or Halo. Instead of listening to the Star Trek fans, you continue to ignore them. So much so that I've even heard that Patrick Stewart doesn't even want to do another season of Picard. So, okay, this decision to split from the story of the Halo video games was further touched upon by 343 Industries, head of Halo Transmedia, Kiki Wolfkill, who told Variety early on we were thinking about doing something that could tie very closely with the game. What we were finding was trying to verbatim stay with everything that had come before wasn't serving the medium. Then why are you calling it Halo? I'm just asking a question. Please answer it. Why are you calling it Halo? The original game was called Discworld, was it not? Let's actually look, boys and girls. Let's see. So, Halo book. Halo book series. So, I believe it was called Discworld. So, let's see. Actually, we'll probably need this from like a Wikipedia or something. And I don't even like going to Wikipedia anymore because it can be so openly manipulated that it doesn't even help. So let's see. Okay, the original plot, game series. Let's see. Halo based on book. There we go. Halo is based on a book. So, yeah, Halo Combat Evolved. What was Halo based off of? Bungie's original Marathon and Marathon 2 drew heavy inspiration for Halo. Okay, that's not helpful. Come on. I know that there is a... Okay, the book that the Halo series was loosely based on. Oh, so it is technically its own thing. Ringworld. That's what it's called. Ringworld. So, Ringworld is it? Why are you not calling it Ringworld? Why is it called Halo? I'm sorry, but there is a certain expectation here that if you're going to call it Halo, that a certain character called the Master Chief shows up. It also wasn't serving the creative teams and their needs to express a story and build the world through their eyes. Why? Did you need to actually have something that collaborated? Did you? I'm asking honestly. Did you have to have that, or is this just 343 Industries pissing off the Halo fan base once again? Because from what I understand, they just don't get Master Chief like Bungie did. Speaking to the series' future, Wolfkill also teased that deeply exploring the Spartan's personal life is maybe something that comes in Season 2 or Season 3. Then maybe move Season 2 to Season 1. Like, if I'm a Paramount executive... and I know that the only reason that my kid plays Halo is for the Master Chief, I look these people in the face and I go, then you need to put Master Chief in the series. Because that's what my kid wants to see. That's who you want watching this. Is people who want to see Master Chief. Why do you have a problem giving them what they want? Did somebody not give you a Wally-Pop as a kid? Do you want to reenact your trauma by inflicting it upon others? I'm honestly asking, because I can't think of any other reason why you would do that. Admitting that he had never played the game prior to joining the series, I'm not surprised by that. Executive producer and director Otto Bathurst from the 2018 Robin Hood, because that was so good, confessed, I was nervous. How do you take a first-person shooter and expand it? It's not that hard. I mean, I'm already hearing talk about a Doom reboot movie. So, yeah, I think you can make it work. I think Wolfenstein's been done into a movie, hasn't it? Good God. There's no way I was ever going to grasp the whole thing, so there was a lot of phone a friend. Then why were you working on it? Look, writers can work on stuff they don't know about, and they can rely on other sources. That's not my problem. But the way that he's making it sound is that it was too daunting a task to understand. So at that point, my advice to him would be, okay, you can't pick up the games. As we just barely saw on Google, there are Halo books. Pick those up. Read those. What's wrong with that? What's so difficult about that? Go read a Halo book. There's no way I was ever going to grasp the whole thing, so there was a lot of phone a friend. They were extraordinary in their acceptance of the fact that they couldn't just try to square peg round hole their 20 years of history. Gaming is a completely different medium. So you all just accepted that you were going to fail. All right. Though not a member of Halo's writing staff, Cortana actress Jen Taylor, set to reprise her role as Master Chief's AI companion, I'm not surprised by this, in the upcoming series, added that Paramount Plus's exclusive would be a new and exciting different kind of beast. I'm sure it will be, Jen Taylor. I'm sure it will be. But will it be enough for the fans to come and watch it? Because that's why you're making it. It feels familiar and different at the same time. I hope people will be excited about that. Do you want it to be exactly the way you've already played it and already seen it? I'm not sure. It will be interesting to see how the fans respond to that. Not really, because the way that you've painted this thing out to be, they're going to respond badly. And you're not going to get a Season 2. Because Paramount Plus cannot afford to give you a Season 2 because you failed so colossally. I'm not a Halo fan and I can see the writing on the wall. What the fuck were you thinking? Okay, so while not explicitly related to the series, ignorance of its origins, another red flag was thrown up when Paramount Plus Chief Programming Officer Tanya Giles revealed the streaming platform's plans for the series. This is a swing for a broad audience. Yeah, I'm sure it is. My hope is this expands what the Paramount Plus brand can mean, which is right now a lot of shit. However, though the Halo writers' room seems to revel in their refusal to engage with the franchise's source material, the same could not be said of actor Pablo Schreiber, who will star in the series as the regularly helmetless Master Chief. Regularly helmetless. Okay, writer, that's not right. He's always helmeted. I quickly realized just how new I was to this medium. I spent the first few days of my Halo experience getting killed by grunts. So did a lot of people. I'm glad you at least tried. Sharing his excitement at the world conceived by Bungie, Schreiber marveled the richness and the depth of the universe was immediately kind of mind-boggling and incredibly exciting because what it means as a storyteller is that there's already been a huge amount of preparation and groundwork. I'm in the middle of a Halo Infinite campaign right now. I'm having a great time. I'm constantly seeing all the things that are similar to what we're doing, so that's really, really fun. Okay. So, the Steven Spielberg produced Halo will premiere March 24th exclusively on Paramount Plus. What do you think of the series choice? I've even heard that, so instead of focusing on Master Chief, they're focusing on this chick. I'm guessing this is the chick, but they're going to focus on on a girl. Instead of the Master Chief, you know, the guy that everybody has been following in the series. Guys, that makes about as much sense as if you're going to do a Metroid series, and then you focus on the one black dude in Other M. I like Other M, but even I can admit there's not a whole lot of character to that guy. There's not really a whole lot to be able to go off of. So why go in that direction? That's how much sense this makes. I'm not a Halo fan. I feel bad for Halo fans at this point, and I frankly encourage you not to watch this series. Don't give Paramount Plus any money to watch this. I'm sure your kids will encourage you to please do this. You let their friends' parents do it. If they want to pay for this tripe, then feel free to do so. Because I'm looking at this and telling you that you didn't talk about or look at the games. You just talked about the characters in the world. In the games that you didn't look at. The characters in the world that you didn't play. Or the characters in the world in the game you didn't play. Well, this is already going to be a shit show and a half. Is it going to be on the level of Cowboy Bebop? Probably. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be an absolute dumpster fire, and everybody should avoid it. Holy crap. If you want to go in a different direction, if you want to say, well, we're not going to focus on the games, we'll focus on the books, I'm totally fine with that. Because there's plenty of books to be able to go off of. I don't know if the books are good. I'd like to be able to know from a Halo fan if they are. But I can already tell you that not a whole lot of effort is being put into this. That probably a bunch of morals and crap that nobody wants in this is going to get preached to you from it. I would not be surprised if the Master Chief only shows up for maybe 2 of the 9 episodes and they're in like 10-minute blocks, and instead it focuses on the chick. Wait, that's Masters of the Universe Revelation, Part 1. All over again. Are we beginning to see a pattern in how woke writing is? It's almost like there is a pattern. Maybe somebody ought to look into that. Now, I've gotten plenty of ranting done today, and I wanted to be able to give you guys the entertainment that I think you guys deserve. And I think that I've given that, and I know that some people are getting used to kind of this new solo format in the fact that I'm reading the articles and I'm reacting to them and everything like that, and I know that some of you guys really love it. But these solo streams, I just kind of decided also are a way for me to be able to talk about things that I don't necessarily get to talk about when I have a panel here. Because, yes, I have Brenton, and I can talk WoW with him, and I can talk a number of other things with, but Alex isn't really going to react to that stuff. So you guys will have to pardon my dust while I basically take some liberties myself and talk about something that has affected my week, that I really just wanted to bring to you guys' attention and properly, as the last story of this podcast in particular, go out with in some level of a positive message. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into our final story of the night. Scott Hall, wrestler who rose to fame as Razor Ramon, dies at 63. I have been following this story all week. And yes, I know I have the New York Times, but it's what I got. I've been following this story all week, and it's been painful to be able to do so. But I wanted to discuss this because I do think that we can give a proper homage to Scott Hall. Called a hugely influential superstar by World Wrestling Entertainment, he was also a founding member of the villainous New World Order with Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan. Scott Hall, the former professional wrestler who shot to fame in the early 1990s as the arrogant bad guy Razor Ramon, or Razor Ramon, known for wearing gold chains and flicking a toothpick at opponents, has died. He was 63. Which is fairly young, and also is very, as you guys are going to find out in this story, quite unexpected. World Wrestling Entertainment announced his death in a statement on Monday, in which it called Mr. Hall a hugely influential superstar. The statement did not say when or where he died and did not cite a cause. But we actually do know what that was, because before his death was announced, as I think this story also goes into, it was announced that that his family was going to take him off of life support. And we got the additional details as the week ran on. Mr. Hall was part of a wrestling cohort that broke into mainstream fame in the 90s and early 2000s under the watchful eye of Vince McMahon, the chairman of WWE. The era produced stars like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker. Mr. Hall had suffered complications of hip replacement surgery this month. A site, according to Pro Wrestling Torch, a site that has covered the wrestling world for more than 30 years. The website said he had been on life support in Georgia following 3 heart attacks over the weekend. Holy crap. So he went in for hip replacement surgery. I believe it's the other one, because I think it was his left hip in the documentary The Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. So I think this is the right one, or maybe it was maintenance. I don't know. But yeah, after having complications from that and then 3 heart attacks, being put on life support, and eventually having to announce that they had to take him off. Kevin Nash, another former professional wrestler, said in an Instagram post on Sunday that Mr. Hall's family intended to take him off of life support. And this is when I found out, because I do follow Kevin Nash. I follow him on... I didn't see the Instagram post, I saw the Twitter post, but... there's the tweet that they put up. The WWE family will forever remember Scott Hall as a gifted entertainer and a 2-time WWE Hall of Famer, a loving father, and a dear friend, because he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014 as Razor Ramon, and I believe in 2020 as part of the NWO. So Mr. Hall started his wrestling career in 1984 and joined World Championship Wrestling in 1991 as the Diamond Stud. The next year, he joined the rival WWE, then known as the World Wrestling Federation, as Razor Ramon, a character he said was influenced by Al Pacino's portrayal of Tony Montana in Scarface. Standing well over 6 feet tall, he often towered over his rivals in the ring. He was known for his slick black hair and the gold chains he wore around his neck, outside as well as inside the ring. Mr. Hall became a 4-time Intercontinental Champion during his time with the WWE. 2 of his most famous performances were ladder matches, a contest to grab the championship belt hung above the ring using a ladder against Shawn Michaels for that title at WrestleMania 10 and at SummerSlam 1995. In fact, if you want to be able to get a little bit more information, I've been watching lots of Scott Hall stuff this week. WWE did a playback episode where they actually had Shawn and him sit and watch the WrestleMania 10 match. So that's actually a fun thing to be able to watch. Mr. Hall rejoined World Championship Wrestling in 1996 as a heel. He became a founding member alongside Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan of the New World Order, a group of heels supposedly aiming to take over the organization. Outside the ring, Mr. Hall struggled with drug and alcohol abuse and went to rehab at least a dozen times, according to a 2017 interview. He said that WWE supported some of his treatment, and he credited another wrestler, Diamond Dallas Page, with helping with his recovery. Once again, if you want to be able to see that, you can check out the resurrection of Jake the Snake, because he is also part of it too. Scott Hall was born into a military family on October 20th, 1958. In a short film seen on ESPN in 2011, he described growing up with alcoholic parents. I was head of the household at like 15. My dad used to tell me, "You're going to slip. You know you're going to fall." He said, "Try to fall forward." Mr. Hall was working as a bartender at a strip club in Orlando, Florida in 1983 when he became involved in a struggle in which another man was fatally shot, according to the ESPN film and the Orlando Sentinel. "A guy pulled a gun on me and I took it away from him and shot him," he said in 2011, recalling what he said was a fight over a woman. "I should have sought counseling like right then, but I didn't know anything. I was a kid." Mr. Hall was charged with second-degree murder. According to the Sentinel, the ESPN film said the case was dismissed because of insufficient evidence. Mr. Nash acknowledged that Mr. Hall wasn't perfect, but he always said, "The last perfect person to walk the planet, they nailed to a cross. I'm going to lose the person on this planet I've spent more of my life with than anyone else. I love Scott with all my heart, but now I have to prepare my life without him in the present." And there's an image of Scott Hall. I believe this is, WrestleMania 18 in his match against Steve Austin. Information on survivors was not immediately available. Mr. Hall was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as Razor Ramon in 2014, and again in 2020 as a member of the New World Order. "I learned that when I stepped through that curtain, that I could have a relationship as a performer with an audience," Mr. Hall has said in his 2014 induction speech, which is beautiful, by the way. "And it was a powerful thing to me, whether I was the hated villain or the beloved hero. That was something that I've always treasured." He concluded, "In my lifetime, I've learned hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do." I've been following this story quite a bit, and a lot of it is simply because it mirrors a situation similar to my family. My dad had to be taken off of life support when he passed away in 2014, and that was not a fun process, and I understand, and I totally wholeheartedly agree with the pain that his family must have gone through to make that decision, because it wasn't easy for me or my siblings either. You never want to hear about a story ending this way. I've seen numerous interviews that Scott Hall is just beloved in the wrestling industry, and if you see interviews with him, he was a fan, and he took that with him into the ring and into creative with a number of people. A lot of people don't know this, and you can check out the interviews, but if you like the crow gimmick that Sting had, I believe it was suggested by Scott Hall, and said, "Hey, have you ever seen the Crow?" and got him to take a look at it, and then they did the Sting gimmick with that. And one thing that you get from a lot of podcasts and interviews that he's done is he's always been a lover of the business. He's always been a passionate nerd of the business first. And he has done things that in the industry he got screamed at for, and frankly were the right things to do. And I agree with him on them, because he was able to make people as well as make himself. Scott Hall is a treasure to the wrestling business and to those who have learned from him. I unfortunately cannot say that I knew Scott Hall until I saw him in the 2002 reboot of the NWO. I heard a lot about him, but I wasn't able to see like his work until he got there, and then eventually when I got my hands on the WWE Network, I did check out some of the things he had done as Razor Ramon. I checked out the early days of the NWO where he started that whole thing, and I can tell you that he was a passionate man about the business. I also find it interesting in the documentary, the Resurrection of Jake the Snake. There were 2 wrestlers that the wrestling business community never wanted to see happen because of drugs. And Scott Hall was one of them. And I'm at least happy that that's not what happened here. That he did die through complicated circumstances. But the bottom line is that he wasn't under the influence anymore. And he was able to reclaim a lot of the life that he had lost because of those. And even though I know that he will be missed in this industry, in the wrestling industry, and it is a creative mind that is no longer going to be there, I can at least say that I think he's in a better place, and I think that he was able to deal with his demons before he went there. And that's probably the best thing that could ever be said. Is, I agree with people. You never want to hear that so-and-so died of a drug overdose. Because it just, in a lot of cases, it's always a life short-lived. And in Scott's case, it wouldn't have been. He was 63. And he was very successful. But it was so much better to have to not say it that way. And to have him pass the way that he unfortunately did. But it wasn't because of the drugs, the alcohol. And he at least was able to salvage his reputation. He was able to salvage his career in a way, and he got inducted twice for being the mind that he was. I know that a lot of people would get mad at him for that because he was part of the infamous clique. But I do honestly believe that the world will miss him. And I hope that people learned everything they could from him when they got the chance to meet him. And I hope he gave everything to you. And I hope that we benefit from that. I hope that he was able to fix the problems with his family. Because I believe in that documentary, we heard that a lot of family had kind of separated from him because of his drug abuse. And I hope that he was able to salvage that and be able to enjoy... Well, I know he did. I know that he enjoyed the last few years of his life. Maybe he had the pain because of the hip surgery, but I know that with the interviews that he did, he was a lot happier than he had been in a long time. And so, all I can tell you guys is I have watched nothing but Scott Hall interviews and Scott Hall documentaries this week. Like, I'm a lover of wrestling documentaries more than necessarily wrestling itself, because I like a success story. I like to be able to hear, like, this person had to eat tuna out of a can and they found a way to be able to succeed, because that's how a lot of us feel. Like, we've had to eat ramen. We've had to live through hard times, and we rose up because of it. And Scott Hall's no different. Scott Hall was able to prove himself in the ring. In fact, one of the things I didn't know, and well, I'd heard about it in the documentary, but I'd never seen the footage, is Scott Hall went to Jerry Springer to meet with 2 kids that had either HIV or AIDS, one of the, like, full-blown AIDS. I can't remember which. He actually gave the Intercontinental title that he had there to the boy that he met. And he did so in kind of a backwards way that Vince had to pay for it, but I still think he was in the right for doing it. And he even admitted he was still in contact with a girl to this day because she had become an HIV activist. And so I hope that people will remember all the good things he did in his career, not necessarily the years of drugs and the years of alcohol abuse. Think of all the creative things he did. Think of the promos of, "You people, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." Because he was a good storyteller. And that ring was where he told stories, and he was very good at it. And I would just like to end this story on his last words, because I think that they are ideal. In my lifetime, I've learned hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. And that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for the evening. I want to end it on this note, and this might not be the only time that I do this, that I bring up wrestling stories or WoW stories or stuff like that, because this is stuff that I want to be able to talk about, and I know that you guys want to know my opinions, and this was definitely one I wanted to bring up because I've been following this coverage and watching footage of heartbroken Kevin Nash, heartbroken Hulk Hogan, even Triple H, who's already dealing with issues of his own, and my heart goes out to them. It really does, because a loss like this is huge. This isn't just the loss of a parent, it's the loss of a brother to a lot of them, and I feel for them on that. But yeah, this might be happening a little bit more, and I hope you guys can be a little patient with it, and hopefully it doesn't bug you guys too much. But I want to be me, and this is how I do that. So once again, thank you guys so much for joining me on this podcast. I know that the solo format is something that a lot of people are still getting used to, and I thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you want to be able to reach out to me and be able to discuss the stories tonight, if you want to, I actually would encourage you to share memories that you have of Scott Hall, because I'd love to hear them. If you ever met him at an autograph session, I'd love to be able to hear him. You can do so at Twitter at GNRO, and you can also do it at Instagram at Drak2326. Those are the best places to be able to reach out to me, unless you are a detractor of Domina, in which that case you can, take a walk off a very short pier. I mean, you can message me, but I'm still going to be blunt with you. So that's going to be the way it goes. But if you guys liked what you heard from this podcast and you want to be able to support it more, support the RSS feed at geekynro.libsyn.com. That's where everything is hosted. The regular podcast like this, as well as the monthly podcast where I do with a panel, as well as Geek News Movie Night, which will be returning either this month or next. I'm not quite sure yet. We also have Geek News Anime Night and Geek News Marathon Night, which has received a little bit of a delay. We will get the most recent episodes out for you guys and try to get back on schedule, so don't worry about that. And also, if you guys don't want to support that RSS feed, you can also support us on Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. I had to think about it because I always want to say iTunes, Player.fm, and Spotify. They are all available there, and you can be able to listen to all of that. And for those who do not want to support the YouTubes because Mama Susan sucks, I understand and I have answered, because we are now officially on Odyssey and on Rumble. And I will post links in the description below so you guys can join that. I have pretty much put up all of the regular podcasts. I am debating as to whether or not put anything else up there. If you guys want to see things like Marathon Night and Game Night and stuff like that put up there, please let me know in the comments below. And if you're brand spanking new, please consider giving a subscribe over to this channel as well as to the RSS feed. I greatly appreciate all of the support that you guys give me. It reminds me each and every day why I love this and why I love interacting with you guys. And of course, if you guys want to be able to suggest stories or be able to give feedback on the podcast, you can do so at geekyweek@gmail.com. And that's going to go ahead and do it for me. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Thank you to my awesome live chat who joined me during these discussions. Thank you for dealing with my rants. I'm sure my kids are just so happy with me right now because of all the yelling I did. But thank you guys so much. And for myself, I will see you guys next week for even more geek news, reviews, and opinions. Take care.